Hello everyone, WaywardEko here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. This is the continuation of the electricity series. This is number 3 in the series. In this one we'll be covering all the electrical components. I mean all of them, seriously all of them. I started off with this idea of building out a base where I could incorporate all the different components. And I went a little bit overkill and ended up with this. So that's a quick snapshot of what we'll be looking at in this video. If you take a look over here, you'll see the list from my last electricity series where I talked about all the different components you have from an electrical standpoint in 7 Days to Die. And you'll notice, if you saw the last video, that they were previously black. I've gone ahead and highlighted all the things we'll be covering in this video in green. Yep, all of it. So let's just jump on in here. In this, I'm going to add in a lot of different tips and tricks that'll hopefully make things easier for you. So I'm going to talk about how to make nice clean cable runs so that your base can look good. I'm going to talk about how to automate things. That'll include, your IoT devices so that you have your lights come on when you come in the house. It'll include, shutting the lights on and off at, nighttime and day so that you can save power. I'll talk through base defense and show you some of the things that I've set up here. There's a ton of stuff packed in here, so stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you do enjoy this, really appreciate if you can drop a like and subscribe. I'm going to continue cranking out more of these, so let's get into it. So here we are back in the test world that I've been playing around with. And, you'll see over here my little Echo craft stand. And then you'll see the little hut that I built next to it to show you guys how electricity is going to work. This was a project that I was like, I'm going to toss this together in a few minutes. And then all of a sudden, this just happened. And so I'm going to try to walk through as I go to each item in here. So first thing you'll see is the drawbridge. So I've got a motion camera set on the wall with a 3-second delay that'll open up for me as I come through. That lets me pop my car in here and park it. And then as I pass through, there's actually a tripwire under here that turns on this lovely light under here. Gives you a little ground effects. And you'll see that I hide the cables nicely under here with just a tripwire post going across. And then I've got the electricity for that tucked underneath the floor here. So also on the doors here, I've got locks. So we're going to just shut these, keep all those Z's at bay. And you'll notice that there's one on the other side too. I try to leave this one on because if we leave it closed, if this one's turned off and I'm out and about and I try to bring the car back in, the gate's not going to open. So we just leave that one on. But I like having the option so for Horde night or anything like that, we can make sure that we keep this closed. So first I'm going to give you a look around this room. So you'll notice there's not a lot of cables and clear sight. It's pretty clean and tidy. So I use a lot of different tricks in here to do this. So out of the gate, I'll give you some here. I use a lot of these plates. So you notice that there's kind of a half wall over here. There's tons of relays behind that wall right there that are moving power through the base. But you can do that and have a really low profile method of hiding them. So the other thing that I'll do, as I mentioned over here, you saw that hatch. I'll hide stuff in hatches underneath the ground. I'll put them above ceilings, and I'll run the cables that way so you don't see anything. Anything that's directly on the ground, like a turret, I'll have the power come directly up through the floor. So if I put on a wrench, you can see that power coming up through the floor. But without the wrench on, you don't really notice it so much. So same thing if I'm looking at all these switches that we have in here, blades, more blades, turrets, electric fence. These are going to go straight down or straight up in a fashion that you can't see the cabling. So before we get into some of the other functions and things that this can all do, I'm actually going to go and show you how the powertrain for the building works. And it all starts up on the roof. So we've got a quick switch here, opening a powered vault door. Take this up to the kind of middle layer. And in here, you'll see just cables running everywhere. This is where the magic is starting to happen. So we've got one more vault door that goes up to the actual rooftop. And this is where the beginning of the powertrain starts. So we've got all these solar banks set up here. And because I did this with creative, I just went ahead and fully loaded these up. This is beyond what I would ever do for a normal base. But just for showing, I went ahead and put 6 level 6 solar cells in each of these. And then these all get wired down here into kind of a relay array that I built. So over here, they get routed across the ceiling from the various spots, and they go into these sections here. And then from here, I'll show you in just a minute where they carry down to the basement. But this also has lighting set up that carries all throughout this room. And then I've got this platform set up outside. We've got some lighting out here. This is the area where if you're in Horde night, you can sit out here with your buddies, murder all the Zeds hanging out down below. Shut that up for now. And let's head down and follow that array that we mentioned. And remember, that's that same 2x4 grid that we see right there. And if we go down to the floor that we entered, sometimes these stairs are just a nightmare to get down. So we'll head down to the bottom. And we'll see that same array. I left it with just iron bars so that you can kind of see what's going on. So that same format of 2x4, they're just routing one to the other and bouncing the power down. And then we carry that all the way down to the basement, because this is where all the magic's really happening. So we got a quick trigger plate here that's getting us a couple lights from behind. Now here's all those relays that we saw coming from upstairs. So this is the solar power that started on the roof and is now all the way in the basement. Now you'll see that in some of these cases, they come off and connect directly to a battery bank. We've got one that comes across here. And this is what's actually providing all of our spotlight control throughout the base. So it's coming into a battery bank. It's going here into an electric timer. And this is what's coming on. So at 1800, you got the lights switch on. At 5 in the morning, the lights switch off. And this is just going to keep your power down from a usage standpoint throughout the base. And obviously I've gone way overkill on this, but even on a smaller base, you could still use the same concept. And then much like I showed in the 102 video, I've also got an inline switch here. So you've got a 2 control setup so that you can do either one to turn the lights off. Now, I'm going to focus, you've got the other 6 here that are routing across to this set of battery banks on the ceiling. So 4 of these then carry on to this set of relays, and then over here, I like to label a lot of what's going on when I'm doing crazy electrical builds like this. It really helps out. So I've got a switch send and a switch return. So what we've got is solar coming through to the battery banks to charge them up so that we can use them at night, that are coming across here. They're going to go into the switch send. You see this cable that's going up, kind of crazy to look at it like this, but this cable that's going up right here is going to go up to the middle floor where we have that bank of 4 switches across. It's going to connect to that switch, and then it's going to come back down through a series of relays to this return. And then from this return, I can connect that up to any target that I want to control with that switch that's upstairs without having to be anywhere near where that actual item is. So you'll see in this case, this one is going down here into the ground, which is crossing all the way over here into this blade relay. So you'll regularly see I use hatches, and I'll put relays in the ground like this. That way I still have access if I need to rewire things later. That's the good way to do it. I didn't do this all cleanly. There's some areas out there where I did not give the hatches, but you'll want to do something like this, especially if you're playing in a non-creative world. That just makes it so you can service your stuff later on. So if we follow back upstairs, we can take a look at how all those controls work. And you can see as I spin around the room, just the amount of kind of insanity going on in here. But in addition to all the spotlights that you're seeing here, we've got yet another set of auto turrets out here. You can see the blade traps through there, through the windows here. And then there are electric fences that go around. Let's just head back upstairs. We can give you kind of an example of how this all functions. We'll shut the basement door there. So around the base here, we've got some turrets. We put some shotgun turrets on the inside just in case Zeds managed to get through and you had to deal with them. You'd have some defense on the inside of the base. And then you've got the auto shotguns. And I built angles on these so that these shotguns can actually either angle down or shoot straight across as zombies are coming towards the base. So we'll give it a little test run. I haven't really played with this much to see how it works from a defensive perspective, but we'll give it a little shake here. So now that we're back up here, we've got controls of all these items. So we've got the blades and more blades. I ended up having to split the blades into two sections because there were, I want to say, a total of around 28 blades. I had 30 and then I had to cut back. But I had to split those into two separate banks because each of those blade traps uses 20 watts. And so if you just think 20 times 15, you're going to be at the 300 watt max that you can fit on either a battery bank or a generator. And then once you started adding in relays, you're not even going to be able to get all 15. So I backed that back down to 14 to allow the relays to move electricity around the base. So that's why we don't just have all the blades on a single switch. So you can see I can turn these on and I can take a look out the side and our blades are going to start cranking up. Turn those off for a second. And now same thing. You've got the turret switch that's going to power these up. We can take a look here. Here's one of the neat tricks if you didn't know it about the turrets. You can actually use them. So you can actually go into this camera view mode and click and angle in here. I was actually playing earlier. There was a chicken running around. I was trying to shoot it. But kind of a neat trick if you didn't know about that one. And then here's our electric fence. And this covers all the electric fences that I set up. So again, going around the base, I put it inside the little ridge down there so that the zombies would try to climb over. Then they'd fall down in the ridge and get stuck there while the blade traps are hitting them and the electrical is hitting them. So that should be fun for them. And yeah, and then there's also electrical. I ran electric fencing in here as well. I put one going across here so that as I'm driving the vehicle back in at night, you've got some protection from zombies that may be running in behind you. Pro tip about that I found out, this is one of the interesting finds, but vehicles can drive through the electric fence. You do not get shocked while you're in the vehicle. So good find. But yeah, you walk in right now and yes, we get the good old shocking moment there. So what I'm going to do, I think we're just going to go up to the floor above here and just hear the whirling of all those good buddies down there. So we're going to hang up here. And then I am going to detach from my body for a second. We're going to come out here. Looks like a good enough spot here. And let's summon us up some zombies. Let's see. And yeah, we'll just get us a nice little crowd here. We'll get some of those and some of those. Some of those. Let's see what else. Barrel, some other stuff, and you can already hear it going to town over there. So let's teleport back to our body. Let's see how these guys do trying to get to us. Hi, friends. Come on over. Come on over. Oh, oh. I'm wondering if I'm even going to have to shoot. Ooh. No, no, I don't think so. I don't think I needed a gun. I think that this is looking effective right now. Let's make it more interesting. You know, give ourselves a good test here. I do want to try this one on a Horde night. I think that's going to be one of the next videos I do, is to get a couple buddies of mine in here and what are these guys doing over here? Get them in here and just see what this looks like with a ton of zombies attacking the base. So let's come in here and all right, let's get some real numbers in here. So yeah, let's get some cheerleaders and let's get some Arlenes and some zombie bikers and some businessmen. That's a pretty good pile right there. All right, that's probably a good test. Let's see how this fares. See if we can get this army coming in. Hello, friends! Anyone near the actual bottom wall of the base. So far this seems to be holding up pretty well. That looks like the last of our friends there. So we'll go down here and take a quick look. So what were they beating on? I guess they were just beating on this fence. But one of the other things that I wanted to mention, if you notice, I didn't have controls for the dart traps. That was a little bit tricky to deal with. So around the base, I created these. Here I've got these little kind of cubby areas where I've got the dart traps all set up, and I used a generator in here because generators are a little bit easier to refuel than having to deal with the battery banks. But you can see it didn't use a ton of power since we've been on. It did go through some darts. It looks like it went through, what, about 100 darts per? So that would actually last pretty well. So that's the setup I did from here, and you can see also where I hid the electrical fence. So I'm going to actually put on God mode for a second so you guys can see this a little bit closer. I'm going to clip through here. So what we've ended up having here is a set of 5 dart traps here and here that do a cross section that go the whole way across, and then you've got that replicated in all 4 corners. We've got electrical cable that comes across here. Then we've got another one running in this crevasse here that goes the whole way across. And then you've got the blade traps along here. So, and then again, down here you can see the turrets on the bottom and the turrets on the top. So that overall is our electrical build. So hopefully that gives you some creative and interesting ideas of things to do. So that's what you can do with all the voltage in 7 days to die. I will say this seems like kind of a gross exaggeration of, you know, the typical base that you'd be building in 7 days. But the principles that I've shown here are very typical to a lot of the bases that I've built in the past. So I hope this gives you some ideas, maybe gets your creative thoughts going on some things that you would do on your own base. If you do have some ideas or even questions, if you think there's areas that I've missed, please make sure to engage down in the comments and let me know. I'm happy to dive into specific areas that I may not have covered in great depth here. But if you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps me out. And otherwise, look forward to the next one I do, because I'm planning on doing this with a few buddies of mine and doing a Horde night, late game stage, and just seeing what we can toss at this base. And maybe it survives and maybe it doesn't. But I've seen all the videos out there where people do like, you know, day 7,000, game stage, 10 million kajillion. So we might do one of those and just let the chips fall where they may. But until then, hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, folks.